Talk Radio.
Well, Hector, guess what time it is?
It's 4 o'clock?
No, 'twas the Byte before Christmas. And that's what we're going to be covering today. We're going to take a look at the World Wide Web and see what Christmas has to offer in 2013.
Okay.
We may have to shoot our producer, but... And actually, he looks just like a reindeer, so you have the first shot.
Put the bag on his back and let's go for it. Before we get deep into the show, I'm going to give our callers the call-in number. It's 213-943-3808. That's 213-943-3808. Of course, you can find us on workingtheweb.com, Working the Web to Win the blog, W Squared Media Group, Club W Cube, Social Slam Dunk, a few others that I can't think of offhand right now.
This is only a 30-minute show, you know. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today are some of the ways in which you can reach out places around the globe to find out what's happening at Christmas. And also, of course, who's been naughty and who's been nice. And we're not talking about Miley Siri, or Miley, whatever, what is her name?
Naughty.
Right, that's the naughty one, right? But the thing is, she's not the only one that was naughty. I don't know if you looked at some of the articles that I pulled in, but you know, they always have these little brawls that go on at the stores on, Black Friday. They haven't quite figured out how to do that online yet on Cyber Monday yet.
I saw actually there were several articles on that, and there was several made the TV news, or people were fighting over getting in first or getting that one last doll or whatever it is. Which seems crazy because, again, if they just want the thing, just go online and order it. I mean...
Yeah, but you know, it's not just limited to the mall, apparently, because I picked up an article actually out of San Antonio, Texas, where there was a Christmas tree lighting ceremony that ended up spawning a 40-person brawl. I mean, a real melee.
That's the one where they had the videos where people were diving in and the cops were grabbing people and all that. It was pretty wild.
'Tis the season, right?
Yeah, they forget. People forget. It's not about buying gifts and getting gifts, although those are all nice things. It's about being nice to people.
Supposed to be.
It's supposed to be.
And we found some things where people were being nice. You know, there was one where they were. It was what, a 14-year-old was doing. Every year she does a Christmas concert and gives her the proceeds to charity. Right. You know, and there were a couple of restaurants. A restaurant that was turning their. I guess their patio is in Washington, D.C. of all places, into a tree lot, and they were giving away the proceeds to charity.
I know here in Jacksonville that there are several organizations that do some really cool things. For example, the Toys for Tots is a big deal every year. Also, every year you can do meals for people. Mm-hmm. The Food Harvest Place actually gives away all kinds of turkeys and things like that. They were doing that last week for Thanksgiving. So there's quite a bit of good stuff going on too. It's just that I think the news focuses on the bad stuff.
You know, to a certain extent, you know. But I mean, like I said, today having the brawls in the mall is just about, you know, it's almost expected.
Right.
It's just like, luckily for people that like us that do our shopping online, they haven't figured out how to bring the brawls to, you know, Cyber Monday yet.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, for the last 5 years, I've actually done Black Friday. And I always do it because it's an easy way to get, you know, videos for my son for Christmas and stuff like that. And since he doesn't listen to the show, I can talk about it. But one of the reasons I do it...
He just tells you he doesn't listen to it.
One of the reasons I say that is because you can get videos or DVDs for like $1.96 at Walmart and stuff like that. And one of the things that several of the big retailers did this year, which was a really smart thing to do, instead of just having a Black Friday, they had a Black Friday, Saturday, and Sunday type of deal. And they spread out their deals with time slots and everything.
Ding, round two, ding, round three.
That's exactly what they did. And it really did spread out. So I saw less melees, less fighting, you know, in the stores. I even had one lady give me a coupon for a tablet that was like normally $139. She gave it for $79. And I didn't use it, but I mean, because I bought this expensive one.
Right, of course.
But still, I mean, that was pretty nice. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think that change is a good thing for the retailers. But one of the things that's already come out, since it's already past Cyber Monday now, because it's Tuesday, is that e-tailing or online sales are up 19 to 20%, depending on who you're listening to. Mm-hmm. But the amazing thing was this was the first year that online sales have exceeded brick and mortar. And brick and mortar sales are down over last year.
Right.
And I think a lot of that's because people decided to stay home and avoid the melee and just buy the stuff online. And people are getting smarter, so some of that might change because they're talking about trying to slap a sales tax on the internet sales and things like that. So that might throw things back in the lap of the local brick and mortar guys.
Well, and there is one thing that you can still do in a brick and mortar store that you can't do online, and that's walk out with your purchase.
Right. Or now you get to touch and feel and see it, and
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw this, and I don't know if this is a gag or what, but Amazon actually
the flying delivery.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to use the quadricopters. They actually are proposing guaranteeing 30-minute delivery using a quadricopter.
It's Prime Plus. They're calling it. I don't know what the plus means. Maybe you got to pay $300 a year or something for the membership, but you got to be within the distance of the copter.
Right.
And what I'm trying to figure is how they control it. If you live 20 miles away or whatever, how are they going to control that copter to make sure it's got GPS or something?
Would have to. But that's just funny. Who needs reindeer now? We've got Amazon and a quadricopter.
And not only that, I don't know if you saw the packaging that it delivers. It's like this hardened case. Those hardened cases got to cost $20 or $30. Anyway, I think it's a gag that they're doing for Christmas.
I think April Fool's came a little early this year.
Yeah, so.
Because it's talked about an idea being out there. But, they're not the only people that, we saw some really interesting things going. In fact, going back to the Who's Been Naughty, did you read about the Bitcoin bandits that they staged a denial of service attack, and then while everybody was trying to work on that,
it was a ruse, right?
Yeah, they were pilfering people's wallets, and they ended up
$1 million.
Over $1 million, yeah. We were just talking about that a few weeks ago.
And again, there was a notice that went out by a lot of the big banks saying, hey, if you're doing online, banking, and somebody hacks your account,
it's on you.
It's on you. And I didn't see where it said if somebody hacked them.
Right.
If they hack you, it's on you. But they're going to do that if they hack them, it's on you also, type of deal. So I don't know. It just seems to me that instead of tightening up their security, which is what they ought to be doing, they want to push it off onto us.
And the only reason that you put your money in the bank is because of the fact that
it's supposed to be safer, right? It's supposed to be safer in the bank, and now they're saying, it's not safe.
It's not safe in Bitcoins either. So what are we going to do? We're going to start digging the hole and bury it in the backyard again? I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I really thought the KFC tongue-in-cheek video that you had was pretty funny, and I think we ought to try and put that up on the video when we do that, because again, the wording, if you listen to the wording, it's really sort of off the wall. You might want to try and play a piece of it if you can.
I almost tore your hair out for the last doll in the store, but the things that once divided us don't matter anymore. We showed up at your house again, singing all our stupid songs. Normally I'd hold you down, but now it just seems wrong. Let's come together at Christmas time, put all our differences aside.
It was really cool that when you listen to the words, it's really tongue-in-cheek about being naughty and nice, and people fighting over the Christmas dinner and all that kind of stuff. And to tie that same thing in, the neat part about when you're talking about Christmas around the world, how the Japanese are really big on KFC for Christmas.
Right.
Which really wasn't part of that story, but that was sort of a neat thing. While you're looking for that, I wanted to bring up a list of cool things that I found on the web. One of the things that is going all around the web is right now is what's selling the most. Mm-hmm. And also, what are people using the most to buy their things on the web. So one of the most interesting things I noticed was this year, 30% of all online sales were mobile.
Wow.
That's a big jump.
Sure
That's
is.
about an 18% jump over last year. That means people are using their tablets and their smartphones to buy things online. The number one selling item this year? Tablets and smartphones. So they're buying their tablets and smartphones and then they're shopping with them.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Let's talk about who's been naughty and nice, and especially let's talk about Google and Microsoft and Apple duking it out here.
Well, I'll let you start with that, and then I got one on Google Glass I'll talk about, too.
Well, I noticed that, we haven't seen enough of them, all year.
Right.
But, Google tried to outbid Microsoft and a cadre of other pretty big companies, Apple, RIM, and so on, to buy a defunct company that had 6 5,000 patents.
Yeah.
So Google wanted those patents.
Nortel.
Yeah. And Microsoft won, or Microsoft and
their consortium.
And their consortium won.
Right.
And Google had bid $4.4 billion to buy this cadre of patents.
That's pretty bad when you kick an offer like that to the curb.
Yeah, and they were outbid by the consortium at $4.5 billion.
Right.
Immediately after they get the buy of the company,
Call in legal man.
they file suit against Google because this company already had lawsuits against Google for several patent infringements, like 7 or 8 different patent infringements. So it's like they're sticking it in the eye
Yeah.
of Google. But they're not just suing Google; they're suing Samsung and LG and anybody who makes any kind of Google Android
Right.
type
They're
of
going
phone.
after everybody. I mean, that's the only reason they bought the stuff. Wasn't
Right.
to really use the patents. It was just to abuse them.
Right.
You know, speaking of Google, here's another one, because Google's like, you know, Rodney Dangerfield don't get no respect, because here a customer that was wearing Google glasses in a restaurant in Seattle
Got kicked to the
was
curb.
evicted.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't take pictures of us without pulling your camera out of your pocket and taking pictures.
I feel like you can't do it with the cell phone, right?
Right.
Everybody's got a camera on them. But
Well-
they singled them out because they were wearing the Google glasses. I mean, you know, you might as well just say, look, I'm sorry, but we don't allow nerds in here, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's going
All
to be
nerds to the curb.
an ongoing thing. Because when we did the show on Google Glass
Yeah.
6 months ago, whenever it was, there were a bunch of people got kicked to the curb for that reason.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to be videotaped,
Yeah.
or at least think. I mean, I think they ought to have it where if it's videotaped, it has a little red light blinking or something, so you know you're being videotaped,
Yeah.
and that would solve that issue.
But you know, the computer and internet giants aren't the only people that you could accuse of, you know, being Scrooge. Because I don't know if you saw the other article I put in there about Kathleen Sebelius.
Oh yeah.
She was telling people that, you know, obviously having trouble with the healthcare.gov site, and her
Go there
her
alone.
suggestion was, to avoid the lines by shopping on the site during off-peak hours.
Yeah, like at 3 in the morning or something, right? I'm going to go shop on something that's not working. As a matter of fact, I heard today on Hannity, he was talking about all the security holes that are in that site because they didn't literally build any security into it.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Front, so
you put your information in there,
to
it's gone.
me, the Scrooge is how anybody can spend $632 million on any website. I don't care what kind of website it is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you look at the big websites of all the big e-tailers, their websites didn't cost that much money.
Right.
Yeah, and they have much higher. Amazon has much higher traffic than that.
Sure.
You know, so it's just crazy that the Scrooge is that they ripped the American public off for $630
$50 million.
They just had $2 million to make the site.
Yeah. It's true. That's true. You know, we were talking about Microsoft, putting on being Scrooge, but also Microsoft is making money because of Scrooge, or should I say Scroogled?
Yeah, they're Scroogled. They're being Scroogled because they're making T-shirts and coffee cups that say you're being watched.
By Google.
By Google,
they're taking
right.
cheap shots at Google.
And they're selling them online. As a matter of fact, I think the coffee cups sold out in like 3 days.
It's crazy when you can slander a big company and make a profit because of it.
And Google's answer to that was, hey, I guess, you know, the smartware is heating up or something. I'm like, they're not even going after them for doing that. And to me, what that says is, well, Google is spying on you. As a matter of fact, I've noticed that if I write an email and I say that, I've attached something in the body, but there's no attachment, the email will stop when I say send, and it says, did you mean to say that you had an attachment? Because there's no attachment attached right now.
Right.
You want me to send it anyway. It stops me from sending it because it knows there's no attachment because it read my mail.
Yeah.
So we have a show coming up on, I guess, the 31st. We'll be talking about that in particular.
Yeah, speaking of smartphones, too, you know, one of the big bad things that are happening right now are smartphones are getting stolen left and right. And I've actually got an article here that talks about 10 defenses against smartphone theft. I don't know about grenade, pin, some wrap it with the coil of those snakes around it that are, making their way down to the Everglades, you got to find some really interesting ways of protecting your
A simple thing that anybody should do, because I lost my phone not very long ago.
Yeah.
As I had Lookout on it.
Right.
And of course, you can have it so that you could lock it remotely.
Right.
And then make it so you can find it and then make it scream like at about 140 decibels so that, whoever's got it drops it and runs.
Well, what I think they should make it scream is self-destruct in 10.
That might work. I know that it's a pretty amazing technology. And when you hear that thing go off, It's probably not 140 decibels, it's probably about 100, but still.
Get your attention.
It gets your attention, because anything over 60 decibels is pretty darn loud. Why don't we get to your naughty and nice list, because I thought that was sort of a cool thing that you had in your article there. As a matter of fact, you left one of them out when I read the original article that you talk about there.
I didn't want to put a lot of space in there, but I've got the link that goes back to the actual article itself, which has even more.
Well, the only one that you really left out there, I think was worth mentioning, although they've done some naughty things too.
Right.
And that was Walmart.
Right.
What Walmart brought back for the first time in a very long time was layaway. Layaway had all sort of disappeared from retailers.
Yeah, it's called a credit card.
Yeah. Now, the trick about layaway is you got to lay away a minimum of $50. Whatever it is, you got to be $50. Matter of fact, I was in Walmart the other day picking up a video that I ordered online. And these people had this really cool car for their kid, and they couldn't lay it away because it was $49.95. Could not lay it away.
Cents. Here's a nickel.
And they don't count the tax. Tax doesn't count towards the layaway.
Wow.
So, when you look at it from that perspective, and I think they went out to try and find something like a pack of gum or something they could add to it. I don't know. Your naughty and nice list. I liked that Amazon made the naughty list, because you and I both buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, and they jacked up their free shipping threshold from $10 to $35.
Yeah.
And that was one of the cool things.
Yeah. You can always go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty, especially shopping online.
I really want to see if the flying delivery thing is
You'd
because
die for that.
they've added several distribution centers in Florida, and I'm thinking, the nearest one is about 90 miles away. I wonder, can that craft make it that far?
Yeah.
Your nice one, I liked Land's End because they got a guarantee period. And we know that when you're talking about selling online, what you have to do is remove the risk of the sale.
Yeah.
And what Land's End does is they just remove the risk, period.
Yeah, yeah.
You can buy it online, you can buy it, store them, and guarantee it forever. And as a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine who had a tent that was about 12 years old, and it was sort of beat up. And he called Land's End up, and he says, this thing has got a sort of a tear, and they said, send it back to us. He sent it back they sent him a brand new tent. 8 years old, or 10 years old, or whatever the tent was. So it was it's one of the best companies out there as far as warranty goes.
There's also one from Southwest Airlines where they don't ding you if you cancel a ticket within 24 hours of booking.
Right, and they're actually, of all the airlines, they're rated as either the best in most areas or in almost all areas.
And speaking of nice, why don't we introduce our producer? I don't think everybody's met Nashville Dave.
Yeah.
Come on over, Dave. Say hi to the crowd at home.
Hello.
What are you
talking about? Those antlers, that's your Christmas bonus, pal.
That's right.
Thank you, might have another.
I don't know if you saw the naughty list also. Well, it's your naughty list. United Airlines, they've been smacked for free boarding passes, charges, and all these other kind of add-on things. And that's one of the things a lot of the airlines have been doing. What they're trying to do is jack up all the little nickel and diming things to you to make up their loss in revenue, because people aren't flying as much as they used to. Let's get to the celebrating Christmas.
Because one of the things that I love about the internet is literally it enables you to reach out and touch any part of the globe. So what I decided to do just for grins, and I didn't do this very long. I mean, you could really get into this. There's all kinds of sites. In fact, I got a couple of sites linked on my blog here, which will take you to places that talk about Christmas from around the world. But, I looked at a few of them that some of them we're familiar with and some of them that I had no earthly idea. About how the Brits celebrate Christmas, right?
I laughed when you say that they put on silly hats and make jokes. I figured they also eat the crackers.
Well, the Christmas crackers, actually, it's a little explosive. It's like a little, it's like a little firecracker kind of a thing. And then you pop one of those, and you got to tell a bad joke. I mean, that's their tradition.
That's the tradition, okay. Well, I'd like to see them do that in a Christmas Carol or something. I don't know.
The bad joke is, all right, now we're going to make you eat this. Because, some of the cuisine there, a little,
Take some haggis with it. Have some haggis.
Yeah, well, actually, I found worse than haggis, okay? Because during my, travels online to see about Christmases around the world, one of the places that I happened to bump into was Greenland, which is anything but green. It's basically a big block of ice until it all melts away.
Rock and ice, right.
Yeah, but at Christmas, apparently, they have a tradition where they prepare and eat a special feast. And two of the dishes in those feasts, one of them's called, I think it's matak, M-A-T-T-A-K, which is raw whale skin. And then the other one's even better. It's called kiviak, which is made by wrapping a small bird, which is called an auk, in seal skin, and then burying it for a couple of months.
And then you pull it out and eat it.
Just like Mom used to make. I mean, when I was I was looking at that, you know, and you start doing all kinds of, you know, faces like you're sucking on a lemon, because I was figuring that Japan was going to have the weird stuff to eat for, you know.
Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. I think it's really cool that here's a Japanese country that was in World War II with us and all that, and now their big deal in Christmas is
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Kentucky Fried Chicken. Everybody goes and gets Kentucky Fried Chicken and eats.
No sushi for me, Mama-san. Pass the KFC. You know, it's just that's a big tradition there. You know, they say, well, it doesn't hurt, I guess, the KFC who spent $1 gazillion in advertising over there, but apparently a lot of people have very limited cooking.
I wonder if they buy a lot of Pepsis with it, or do they, you know, because Pepsi owns KFC, or do they, you know, drink sake with it, or what? You know, I didn't see that in the article.
Yeah, well, you know, you'd have to do a little more in-depth research. I actually saw a couple of sites that had some information up, but they all talked about this KFC craze. So the first time I thought it must be a gag, and I went to the next site, it had it too, you know. Yeah. And what I also like is the way they pronounce Merry Christmas. No.
Christmas summer.
No. Merry Christmas.
With a K.
Yeah.
It's not Kurisama. No. Somebody
Merry Christmas. It's a Kurimasu.
Kurimasu.
Yeah, Muri Karimasu.
Muri Karimasu. You had some other Chinese words in there. I know what they meant. I was going to look them up, but I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, it was nothing that you were thinking. I know how your mind works. It's basically just Merry Christmas. Because they said that...
I thought it was like pass the apple or something.
Well, they said, first of all, you know, of course, everything we've got, all the stuff on top of the table here was pretty much made in China, but the Chinese really don't...
Yeah, they don't get to even use any of this stuff.
No. They would probably, most of them probably don't even know what it is.
They don't even know what a tree is because, you know, the trees are too expensive for the Chinese.
You know, they said the only places they actually see traditional Christmas ornaments like we have would be if they went to like a very expensive shopping mall.
As a matter of fact, the picture I put on the blog was of a museum that has Christmas around the world.
Right.
And I think they would get to see it in the... But you said that they wrap apples because the word Christmas sounds like apple in Chinese or something?
Yeah, the word for Christmas is Ping An Ye, and the Cantonese for apple is Ping Guao.
Ping Guao.
So they sell them to say that's it.
That's the Ping Guao.
No, pass the kiviak. Got to have some of that, boy. That just makes your mouth water.
Yeah. I like the way you ended the blog also with, you know, going back to the poem.
Yeah, but I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight, Merry Kurisamu, I gotta say it again, Merry Kurisamusu, to all a good night. Please pass the kiviak. It's hard to say that. You try to say it.
I can't even read it.
Kurisamu.
We got a few minutes left now, so before we cut out on the day, we wanted to make sure we thank our sponsors. Byte is the guys who are making the new e-cigarettes that are actually going to be helping people live longer and still enjoy their puffs. Of course, Tub King.
That's right.
And Senior Tub, which have, right now, they got a big special going on where you can get a senior tub starting at $18.95.
Well, they also have all those real cool clawfoot tubs, too. I thought those were really neat looking.
And I've heard that they're selling like hotcakes for Christmas.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, so... I also wanted to bring up a couple other goodies that I thought that people ought to know about that are really actually good deals this year, that in the past, like this year, they're getting ridiculous. And I'll give you a really good example. When we bought these laptops, I think we paid like $5.95 or something like that. You can get laptops today with Windows installed on it for $249. And that's because Google is selling Chromebooks for $189. These two guys, as a matter of fact, I've seen commercials that say, don't buy a Chromebook. Be smart. Buy this other thing for $249. Yeah. So they're going hand in hand. Of course, you got the PS4 and the Xbox One. Again, here's Microsoft going against Sony.
Right.
Okay, so the big war there. What's the big camera that everybody wanted to buy this year, Dave?
Red.
Not the red. That's like $50,000 camera. I'm talking about the GoPro.
I want.
That's what he's waiting to have.
That's what he wants. That's what he wants under the tree. I'm talking about the GoPro camera. They're selling like hotcakes, and I don't know if you've noticed, but they've spawned like a half a dozen GoPro copycat type things. Okay, so JVC and everybody and their brothers now got GoPro type cameras, DSLR cameras starting at $249. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's not the way the prices have
And
dropped.
again, you can make movies with them and all that kind of stuff. Portable audio used to be about $50-$60. Now, I've seen them on sale for $10, but about $20 you can get some really cool with an amplifier and everything.
Well, let me
Hook it
tell you
up to
the
your
coolest
phone.
thing that I saw. Okay, these
All
little
right.
things are called Anki Drive, A-N-K-I. Okay, remember the Hot Wheels we used to have as
Right,
kids?
Hot Wheels.
These are robotic.
Robotic Hot Wheel.
And it's got a robotic track. And you can have up to 4 cars racing against each other, and they shoot at each other, and they'll spin out. I mean, really cool. In fact, the funny thing was the person that they hired to design these cars is an actual famous car designer. I mean, worked for many of the,
Right, the big companies.
the big companies, so I could just hear the conversation. Well, we got good news and bad news. The good news is we want you to design us a car. The bad news is it's only that big.
Oh, yeah, big. Yeah. Last thing that I wanted to mention that I thought was really killer deals, and again, when I went to the Walmart was the only place where people were really sort of like wrangling at each other was where the TVs were.
Right.
People wanted to buy the big TVs, okay? But the reality is, there's all kinds of TV deals out there. I mean, you can buy LED TVs
Yeah.
starting at like $179.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the reason I even bring that up is because all devices are becoming smarter.
Mhm.
It's going to start with the TV. So now there's a class of TV called Smart TV,
Right.
which actually has internet and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff built in it. You can order right off your TV. You don't even have to, go to your computer. You see the commercial, you press a button, order, boom, right there.
And wait for the hydrocopter or the
Right.
quadcopter to come in and drop it off in
And
your
wait for
lap.
it to drop it in front of the store. So those are getting ridiculously cheap there. And again, the videos, if you're into building your own video library, like my son has about 1 billion of them, $1.96 for a couple of year old videos,
Yeah.
and up to about $9.96 for current issues.
So you do what I do.
And that's in Blu-ray.
Netflix.
Yeah, or Netflix. And Netflix now has the deliver, so I wonder if they're going to use the copter type deal too.
It's going to start a trend.
Yeah, to be the new trend. So that's all I have for this week. I know that if you haven't gone to the blog, you want to make sure you go there. Go to the notes page. It's on the menu bar there. Click on it, and then scroll down to this week's show. There's lots of detail on all kinds of places where you can find buying gifts for your family and friends and coworkers and so on. As a matter of fact, we have the top tech gifts, the top audio gifts, top gifts for wives, the gifts you can buy for a wife who she will want to have it type of thing. Best gifts for guys. I mean, there's a whole bunch of gift lists on there. And of course, you can even got gifts for the Dave. Carl, why don't you tell them about next week's show? Website marketing for 2014,
was.
the predictions for website marketing for 2014.
In fact, I think the next couple of episodes are going to be as far as predictions or doing a
and
retrospective.
then after that, we'll be doing one on social media marketing for 2014.
Right. And also we're going to do a special one that says how to shoot your reindeer.
That's all we have for this
When do you
week,
say
You
guys.
can have that with a side of Kiviak.
Yeah.
Let's say it together.
Kiviak. Shoot the reindeer.
How many seconds?
We got enough.
Yeah, about 12 seconds.
What'd you want to say, Dave?
I want to say working the web to win.
Oh, okay. Well, until next week, keep working the
Working
web
the
to
web
win.